The global ocean plays a pivotal role in regulating Earth's climate, primarily through its ability to absorb and redistribute heat and carbon. As concentrations of greenhouse gases rise, climate models consistently project significant alterations in large-scale ocean circulation. Among the most prominent changes are projected declines, ranging up to 50% in the Atlantic meridional overturning circulation, as well as substantial responses in Southern Ocean and tropical thermocline circulations. While it is broadly understood that the ocean influences surface climate via heat and carbon uptake, there remains limited mechanistic insight into how changes in ocean circulation contribute to this process. Earlier studies have shown that the spatial pattern of ocean heat storage in a warming climate diverges significantly from that of a passive tracer, suggesting an active role for ocean dynamics. However, the feedbacks between these changes and surface climate remain poorly constrained. To address this gap, the 2013 study by Winton et al., Connecting Changing Ocean Circulation with Changing Climate, employs a fully coupled Earth system model to isolate and quantify the role of changing ocean circulation. This is achieved through a novel comparative experiment that contrasts standard climate simulations with those in which ocean currents are artificially held constant, thereby revealing the distinct influence of circulation changes on the climate system. To understand how changes in ocean circulation affect climate, the authors used a state-of-the-art Earth system model developed by the Geophysical Fluid Dynamics Laboratory. This complex model simulates interactions between the atmosphere, oceans, and carbon cycle under changing carbon dioxide levels. The study involved two sets of climate simulations. In the first, the model was run in its standard form, allowing ocean currents to evolve naturally in response to rising carbon dioxide. In the second, a key modification was made. The ocean circulation was artificially held constant, using a repeating seasonal pattern taken from a pre-industrial control simulation. In other words, the currents in this version of the model did not respond to climate change. By comparing the results from these two approaches, one with dynamic ocean circulation and one with fixed currents, the researchers could isolate the specific role that circulation changes play in shaping climate outcomes. The simulations were run over a century-long period with steadily increasing carbon dioxide, and the analysis focused on the final 2 decades when the climate response was well developed. This experimental design allowed for a clear comparison between the influence of circulation and other factors affecting the ocean's role in climate change. In the first part of the study, the researchers examined how ocean heat and carbon storage respond to increasing atmospheric carbon dioxide, depending on whether ocean currents are allowed to change or held constant. In the simulation where currents were free to evolve, large changes in ocean circulation were observed. Notably, the strength of the Atlantic overturning circulation weakened by more than 10 million cubic meters per second around 40 degrees north. In the Southern Ocean, stronger westerly winds increased the wind-driven overturning, while the formation of Antarctic deep water declined. These circulation changes reduced the poleward transport of heat in the upper ocean, weakening the ocean's ability to carry heat away from the equator. When comparing the experiments with fixed and changing ocean currents, the patterns of heat and carbon storage diverged. Carbon storage changed only modestly between the two scenarios. In contrast, heat storage was dramatically altered when ocean currents responded to climate change. In the fixed current experiment, heat tended to accumulate in broad subtropical gyres. However, in the free current case, a strikingly different pattern emerged, with regions of intense warming and cooling developing, particularly in the North Atlantic and the tropical Atlantic, suggesting that changes in circulation play a major role in shaping the pattern of ocean heat uptake. The study then investigated why the patterns of heat and carbon storage responded so differently to circulation changes. The answer lies in the way heat and carbon are distributed in the pre-industrial ocean and how that distribution interacts with changing currents. In the unperturbed state, temperature gradients in the ocean are large, on the order of 16 degrees Celsius from surface to deep waters, while the variation in dissolved carbon is relatively modest. Because of this, changes in currents have a much stronger effect on heat, redistributing it more effectively across depth and latitude. To quantify this, the authors introduced a concept they called the redistribution number. This metric estimates how strongly a circulation change can move an existing tracer, such as heat or carbon, through the ocean. They found that heat transport due to redistribution was over 3 times larger than the combined effect of other transport processes, while for carbon, redistribution was smaller and less influential. In summary, these results indicate that ocean circulation changes strongly reshape how and where heat is stored in the ocean, whereas carbon storage is less sensitive to these dynamic processes. In the second part of the study, the researchers analyzed how changes in ocean circulation influence surface heat exchange and ultimately the pattern and intensity of climate warming. One of the central findings is that when ocean currents are allowed to respond to increasing carbon dioxide, the pattern of surface heat uptake shifts significantly. In the scenario with fixed currents, nearly 50% of the ocean's heat uptake occurred within the tropics, between 40 degrees south and 40 degrees north. However, when circulation changes were included, heat uptake in the tropics fell to about 25% of the total, while high-latitude regions, particularly the northern hemisphere, absorbed more heat. This shift is driven by the redistribution of heat within the ocean, which alters the balance of surface heat fluxes. These changes in ocean heat uptake lead to distinct differences in surface temperature patterns. In the fixed current simulation, warming was most pronounced at subpolar latitudes in both hemispheres, especially in the North Atlantic. By contrast, in the simulation with evolving ocean currents, surface warming became more structured. The subpolar warming was suppressed, and instead, a band of enhanced warming developed along the equator. The global temperature response was also strongly affected. When ocean circulation was allowed to change, the average surface temperature increase over the final 2 decades of the experiment was approximately 1.9 degrees Celsius. In the fixed current scenario, the temperature increase was about 2.6 degrees Celsius, roughly 27% higher. Notably, this occurred despite nearly identical total heat uptake by the ocean in both cases. This apparent contradiction is resolved by considering the location of heat uptake. Heat absorbed at higher latitudes has a stronger effect on surface temperatures than heat taken up in the tropics. The study quantified this influence using the concept of heat uptake efficacy. In the fixed current case, the efficacy was 1, meaning the temperature response matched the radiative forcing. When ocean circulation changed, the efficacy increased to 1.6, highlighting the enhanced cooling effect of high-latitude heat uptake. These results suggest that ocean circulation changes not only reshape where heat enters the ocean, but also significantly alter the magnitude and geographic pattern of global warming. Overall, this study demonstrates that changes in ocean circulation are a fundamental component of the climate system's response to increasing carbon dioxide. When ocean currents are allowed to adjust to a warming climate, they not only redistribute heat within the ocean, but also significantly influence how and where heat is taken up at the surface. This redistribution leads to a cooler global climate than would otherwise occur, even if the total amount of heat entering the ocean remains roughly the same. Importantly, the study reveals that ocean heat storage patterns are much more sensitive to changes in circulation than carbon storage patterns. This difference stems from the stronger pre-existing temperature gradients in the ocean, which make heat more susceptible to being shifted by evolving currents. As a result, Circulation changes leave a distinctive fingerprint on the geographic distribution of warming, suppressing it at high latitudes and enhancing it in the tropics. The findings underscore the critical role of ocean dynamics in shaping the transient climate response, the warming that occurs over decades to centuries. Since different climate models simulate circulation changes differently, this introduces a source of uncertainty in projections of future climate change. Looking ahead, a key direction for future research is to better constrain the ocean circulation response across models and observations. Because circulation leaves such a strong imprint on heat storage, observed patterns of ocean warming may offer a way to validate and refine climate models. Studies like this are essential for deepening our understanding of Earth's climate system and for improving the reliability of future climate projections.